Now, Lucius Tarquinius is usually known, the name that is usually known by, where he came to power as kind of like an outsider, and I've told you this. When he came in, he came with his wife, Tanaquil, that's her name, and they come to Rome, and he manages to build a network, and then he gets himself elected as the king. Now, he did have his own kids. We know of at least two sons, one who went by the name Lucius and another one who went by the name Arruns. And we are also sure of at least one daughter who got married to the person we are going to talk about here today. Now, welcome to my YouTube channel where I explore ancient texts. And ancient texts here, I mean texts that have been around for thousands of years. At the moment, I'm going through a book that is titled From the Founding of the City by Titus Livius, or Livy. It's a collection of books that were written about 2,000 years ago, and these books cover a period in the history of Rome of about 700 years, from maybe 700 BCE to 0 BCE or 0 AD. If you've not subscribed, subscribe so that you don't miss any of the videos that I upload. Now, it is interesting that Lucius Tarquinius was not succeeded by one of his sons. We know that there were two sons at least, and he had the ability to put them in a place so that they succeed him, but he didn't do that. He picked somebody else for that, and this person was a child of a slave in his house, but Livy does explain later on that he doubts that this guy was actually a child of a slave, and he gives his own he explains his own doubts. But here is the story he gives us first. He tells us that while Lucius Tarquinius Priscus is the king, in his household there was a slave, a woman slave, who lived there, and this woman had a child, a baby boy. And the boy went by the name Servius Tullius. Now, Servius Tullius one day is sleeping as a baby, and people around see something like a flame of fire around his head. And the queen, Tanaquil, runs into the room, or is called into the room, and she comes with the husband, who is the king. And they look at this thing happening. It's like the boy is burning on his head, but he's not really burning. And in fact, one of the slaves tries to bring in water so that she pours on the baby, and the queen tells her, no, don't do that. And the fire just goes away by itself, and the boy is not hurt. And because of that, the queen is kind of like looking at that, and she thinks that's a sign of something. And she tells her husband, the king, do you see this child whom we are bringing up in so humble a fashion? Be assured you will one day be a lamp to our dubious fortunes, and a protector to the royal house in the day of its distress. Let us therefore rear with all solicitude one who will lend high renown to the state and to our family. So she tells her husband, this baby is going to be something in our life, so we need to take care of the boy. And in fact, they take good care of the boy. The boy is treated nicely. The boy is given education that was not something that kids of slaves usually were given during that time. He's educated, and he grows up to be somebody who is well equipped to be a powerful person, or a person who, to exist in high society, you might say. So this boy has grown, and when he was at the age of getting married, Lucius Tarquinius Priscus decides to have him marry his daughter, and she marries the daughter of the king, and that's how she became. Now, and from that moment, she started having more responsibilities at the palace, and at some point, everybody started assuming, or just taking it that this boy was going to be the next king, because of how everything was happening around him. Now, but Livius tells us that he doubts that this boy was a child of a slave, and he tells us of a story that he also got from another source, that this boy was a child of a chief of a certain town that the Romans went and conquered, and the name of that chief was Servius Tullius, just like the son. And when the town had been captured, the father was killed, and the men were killed of the town, and the mother was captured alongside other women, and they were brought to Rome. Tanaquil was able to identify that she was not a slave, and she picked him from the other captives, and she brought her to her house. And while in her house, she gave birth to this child. And Livy tells us it's possible that Tanaquil knew that this child is not a slave, and that's how this child became somebody of importance in the household Tanaquil. Now, Livy tells us that the boy's father came from a town called Coniculum. That's what Livy says. But the general understanding was that he was a son of a slave woman.